Welcome everybody back to the Tar Pit. This is the Asian Reacts, and this is my live out of the theater reaction to a double feature. We're doing Minions and Monsters, and we're also doing the live action Moana. I saw two back to back today, and so we're gonna get into the reviews for both of them. Now, side note, I'm gonna be coughing a little bit. I'm in New York. Well, I'm from New York, and we've been dealing with the brush fires in Canada, so I have asthma and allergies, so my throat is going to be a little bit itchy. I'm going to be drinking my drink every now and then. So if I cough or have to take a moment or a beat every now and then, just excuse me. I'm going to do my best to get through this as quickly as I can without too many pauses and interruptions, okay? Like before, I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers and not include anything in there. But if you've seen the the animated Moana, there's not really much to spoil. Like, you've seen the animated, you've basically seen the live action, right? Anyways, so let's start off with Minions and Monsters, okay? Now, when I started getting into the whole Minions and Despicable Me thing, well, when it first came out, I wasn't really interested at it because it wasn't really my thing. But my girlfriend at the time was super obsessed over the Minions, and she ended up kind of forcing me to watch it, and I have to admit it wasn't actually that bad. It was actually kind of chaotically funny, and then I ended up growing to love it over time because the Minions are just nothing but chaos incarnate, and that is me in a nutshell. Like, their knack for destruction and hilarity is right up my alley. Like, that's exactly my type of humor, my sense of humor and everything like that. So apparently she knew way before I did that it was something that I was gonna like. It seemed kind of cheesy when I first saw previews and images and the animation style for it. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but ended up loving it, and I don't regret it. I have to say that might be one of the few things that my ex kind of introduced to me that I still enjoy to this day, right? Now, in terms of Minions and Monsters specifically, there's not really much to spoil. I'm going to say, first of all, is it a good movie? Yes. Would I recommend it? Yes. But keyword is, if you already like the previous Despicable Me and the Minions movie, then you're going to love it, period. If you're not a fan of the Minions, if you think they're very obnoxiously annoying and stupid and you just don't find the humor in it, then no, it's not going to be your thing, right? Like I said before in other videos, movies, like art, is very subjective, and I have to keep announcing this and keep repeating this over and over again because there's people out there that try to take their opinions as if it's an objective fact, and that's not how that works, right? So if that's not your thing, then you're not gonna have a good time. It's just not your movie, right? That's part of the reason why I didn't see Odysseus. Sure, it's Christopher Nolan. He's a great, remarkable director. There's a big all-star cast with Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, and so on. And I'm sure it's a good movie. It's just not my thing, right? Like, there are other more dramatic movies that I'm a fan of. That does not happen to be one of them. And I'll be honest, I haven't even seen it, so I can't really give an actual honest opinion about it, right? I can't say, oh, I hate it if I haven't even seen it yet, right? Maybe I'll watch it down the line, but for now, it doesn't seem like it's something that I'm going to be really interested in, right? So, as I was saying for Minions and Monsters, if you like the previous ones, you're going to like this. It's basically following the same kind of formula. There's a bunch of chaos, as typical in a Minions movie. There's a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of heartwarming moments. And overall, it was a good movie, right? For those that may not have not even seen the trailer, basically the Minions end up in Hollywood and they try to make a movie, right? With monsters. Now, when I was watching this, I'm just like, this is a DreamWorks movie. This is a Universal movie because DreamWorks is owned by Universal Studios, right? Universal Pictures. This is like scenario of what if the Minions took over the headquarters of Universal and started pumping out their own movies. That's literally what it's gonna be, and I just love that idea because I'm a big Universal fan. I love DreamWorks and everything, you know. Also, side note, Shrek 5, that's also coming out soon. That's going to be fabulous. And I can't wait for that one to come out too, because I'm in the Shrek generation. When Shrek 1 came out, that was like the shit, right? So Me and the Monsters, fabulous movie. It was great. There were moments that, like, I didn't expect, but overall still great. I felt like it could have done a little bit more, but they didn't want to like push the envelope too far, because then it would have started veering away from the type of humor and the style that makes Minions so lovable. So they tiptoed that fine line, and I think it was a great choice that they made, and I have no notes for that one as far as that, right? Now, when it comes to switching gears from Universal and now we're going to Disney, right? The live action Moana. That movie came out, we'll say 2 weeks ago, more or less, right? And it's been getting review bombed, and people will be shitting on it left and right all over social media and stuff like that. And, some of their complaints are completely valid. Like, I understand what they mean when they say, oh, it hasn't even been 10 years. Why are you already remaking this movie? And true. Disney's live action movies, when they're taking the animated ones and making live action, usually don't do well. Also true, right? The Lion King, Simba wasn't that great. The Little Mermaid got some pushback to it. Mulan was probably just really bad. I didn't bother seeing that one at all to begin with. Aladdin was questionable, right? So coming out with Moana, like, I get it. Like, Disney is seeming like they're trying to do everything they can to milk a cash cow, for a lack of a better phrase, right? They're like, oh, we've been doing a lot of live action movies based off the animated movies, right? Let's keep doing it. Maybe one of them will hit or something like that. And I get it as far as a business standpoint, like, it's worth a shot. But at the same time, like, previously, if you're taking like account into all the previous movies that haven't done as well, you would think, why keep doing it if it hasn't been working, right? But, there is also that mentality that, let's take me, for example, right? For the longest time in my life, Mulan was my favorite Disney movie of all time, Of course, right? I mean, I'm not Chinese, but I'm Asian, so that was the closest thing to Asian representation that we got, and it culminated in a badass chick joining the army, whooping ass, taking names, and basically saving our country, right? Like, as an Asian child growing up, and you see a badass female just kicking ass and everything, you're just like, yo, that's what's up. Like, that's the kind of woman you want to, like, go to war for, literally, right? Like the emperor said, the flower that blooms in adversity is the most beautiful of them all, right? And I agree, right? Like, she learned who she is and what she's willing to do for the people that she loves and she cares about when she's pushed to the extremes, right? And I respect that, right? But when it comes to Moana, as soon as the animated Moana came out and I saw the movie, I fell in love with it, and it unfortunately dethroned Mulan as my number one. Mulan dropped to number 2, and Moana took the top spot. There was something about Moana, besides just the message of the story, the moral of the story, that I really loved. And I think it's because, for some of you who may know who I am, like, in person, knows that I don't want to say I've made it, but, like, ocean, marine, water stuff has become a big part of my personality, right? I'm a Pisces, so that's a water sign. My favorite color is blue. Hell, I even made my car teal blue, and I've themed it to very oceany things, right? I love the ocean. I love being on the ocean. I love being in the water and stuff like that, being in the pools and stuff like that, just being surrounded by water and stuff. I used to even work in an aquarium, for Pete's sake, right? So, that's something. And then not even on top of that, like, my necklace. That's a trident, right? I'm very into Greek mythology, and Poseidon is my favorite Greek god because he's the god of the ocean, right? And so this whole thing about how Moana was saying, like, the ocean is calling to me, I feel like it's calling to me too. So even though I'm not Polynesian or anything like that, I felt like Moana at times, right? Where I belong to the sea and everything. Hell, even what was it? Last year I was in Houston. I was in at Kima Boardwalk, right? About maybe was it half an hour to an hour south of downtown Houston. And I was sitting there, right along the dock. And it was like 80 degrees. It was like end of February, so majority of it was still closed because it wasn't like spring break or anything, and people were still in school, and a lot of the things that on the boardwalk was closed, right? Which is fine, right? But I was sitting there, beautiful weather, nice breeze, sitting by the water. I hear the seagulls going, I hear the waves lapping across the dock and everything, and I'm just sitting there and I'm breathing, relaxing, and I'm like, my soul is at peace, right? I have no stress, no problems, no nothing, right? And partially because it was the water, but also partially because I was in Houston, right? Houston's a beautiful city, right? I'm not one for big metropolis cities. Like, yeah, there's always something to do, and you're always bustling, moving, grooving, and doing things, right? But that's not the kind of person I am in my soul. I'm more of a, relaxed, chill, take it as it comes kind of a thing, right? So a big city like where I'm from, New York City, is probably not the best place for me, right? Not the right place. I love New York City. I grew up in New York City. New York City is my home, and it's beautiful, and I love what it offers and everything. And there's people out there that this would be perfect for. I'm just not one of them, right? And no disrespect, everyone is their own person and everything, right? And I'm going to miss it because I am moving to Florida. I'm moving to the South in about 2 days, right? Specifically Orlando. But it's a less of a city than New York City, and it's about an hour in any direction to a beach shoreline, whether I go to Cocoa Beach, Daytona Beach, or Tampa Bay, right? Maybe not further south or north, because north is Jacksonville, south is Miami, but that's besides the point. East or west, I go from Orlando, and I'll hit the beach, in some sense. So yeah. Now, if you've seen the live action, the animated Moana live action, it's exactly the same, right? I think Catherine Laga'aia, I don't know how to pronounce her last name properly, the girl that plays Moana in the live action, I think she did a fabulous job. She was wonderful. Her voice is gorgeous. She played the role very well, and I think that she would have made Tata Vasa proud, right? The Rock, obviously, he's also a fabulous actor. He's very typical of his roles. He always does the same roles in everything that he plays, which is fine, right? He's not as versatile, which is okay, right? It's not ideal for an actor, but if you know your genre of expertise and that's how you make money, go for it, right? Freaking Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham and stuff, they do a lot of action movies because that's what they're known for, right? And sure, I'm sure they have some other dramatic films and other films and stuff like that, but when you think of these action stars, what do you think of? Their action movies, right? Jackie Chan, you think of all his fighting movies. Sure, he has some comical ones where he's not as fighting and everything. But let's say, for example, I think The Tuxedo, he does some fighting with it, but it's more of a comedy, and it's not as heavy on the martial arts as Rush Hour or The Forbidden Kingdom or some of his other ones that he's done, like Rumble in the Bronx and his other ones, right? Where Kung Fu is a very big part of his movies, right? So when you think Jackie Chan, you think, oh, fighting. So when you think of The Rock, you think action movies where he shows off his muscles. That's just part of who he is, right? And if you know that going in, you're not going to be disappointed. He is playing his role to a T. The only thing that I have to say that kind of stuck out was his wig. I grew up in the 90s with The Rock as a wrestler back in WWF, and his hair was, short, but he still had hair at the time, right? And then, as he got older and he grew up and he started doing other things, mostly he shaved it. And so a lot of the later movies that you see when he's in Fast and Furious, when he's in Welcome to the Jumanji movies and stuff, he's bald, in Skyscraper or San Andreas or all the all the other like action movies that he's done, right? Hell, The Rundown or Walking Tall, he was mostly, shaved for the most part, or really, really low haircut, right? And so you recognize him with like very, very, very short hair or no hair at all. And now seeing him in the live action Moana with this really long wig, it kind of sticks out, right? Because that's not how a lot of us have known him and see him and picture him when we think of him in our minds, right? So that will be something I will like say kind of takes away from a bit, but like, that character of Maui already existed in animated films, and if he didn't have hair, it would also kind of look weird too, right? One thing that critics and reviewers and audience members need to realize that is a limit to how animation can translate to live action. And sure, there are certain things that you could probably have changed a little bit, true, but at the same time, it's like there's only so much that they could do, right? Like, they want to keep it accurate, but they also don't want to change it too much where it's a completely different story, right? Because we saw what happened with Mulan, right? They made a story which may be as accurate as it may be to the actual folktale of the actual Mulan, right? But when we as an audience who grew up with Mulan, with these animated movies, and we're going to see live action, we want the live action version of the animated movie. We don't want a completely different story of what we watched, right? When we watch Mulan, the animated films, we love, their songs like, I'll Make a Man Out of You, or Girl Worth Fighting For, or what's that? Reflections, right? But then you go see the actual Mulan movie live action, and they don't have any songs of that, right? They don't even have Mushu, out of Pete's sake. And Mushu was the greatest part of that movie, right? And so that movie bombed because every single part of the animated that people loved, you basically took that away. And that's why it crashed and burned, because you're taking away everything that people loved about it. Now, with this one, they put everything that people loved about the first one into it as well. Like, they had these funny lines, like, oh, the chicken Liz, ha ha ha, funny, right? And stuff like that. So, me personally, I loved it. 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 stars, no notes. It was fabulous. I'm probably going to see it again before it leaves the theaters, right? My friend was telling me I should have watched it in 4DX, and I'm like, I could, but I don't know if there's any places around me that does 4DX for that one. Like, I have AMC A-list, okay? Like, I don't think AMC really does 4DX that much, right? That's more of like a Regal thing, and I don't have a Regal account, and I don't feel like I go to Regal enough to want to have one of those like paid membership programs and stuff if they have one like an A-list thing, right? But despite that, like, they have IMAX, so like I can still see The Odyssey in IMAX if I wanted. But Moana, fabulous movie. If you like the original, you're probably gonna like the remake. My coworker loved the original. She loved the remake. I love the original. I love the remake. I can't speak for everyone else because, like I said in the beginning, movies are subjective. Just because I like it does not necessarily mean that you'll like it, right? It appeals to a different demographic, and everyone, it affects everyone differently. So if you didn't like it, that's fair, No one says that you have to like it, right? But you got to understand that is just your opinion. Just because you didn't like it, or you thought it was trash, or you thought it didn't need to be made, does not justify telling other people don't waste your money on it. They might end up loving it. Who knows? You don't know what the kind of things that they like and what they don't like, right? My ex thought The Office was the funniest thing ever. I thought it was the stupidest thing ever. We have obviously different tastes, and that's fine. If she likes The Office, that's her thing. Clearly isn't mine. And we accepted that, right? We need to accept other people's opinions, not as subjective truth, but like an objective truth, but that it's subjective. Like, they liked it, that's fine. That's their power, their volition, their prerogative. Fine, right? That's their thing. I had a discussion with my best friend the other day, right? In my previous review, okay, not previous because I was Supergirl, but the one before. When I talked about Toy Story 5, I told you how much I loved the movie and I thought it was the greatest thing ever, right? My friend saw it and he thought the complete opposite, right? He thought it was the worst Toy Story out of them all. Like, if he ranked it, he ranked it dead last, right? And that's fine. That's his opinion. I'm not going to try and change it and say that he's wrong or that he's delusional or that he's blind or something. Like, it affects all of us differently, and who am I to dictate how he feels, right? So this is just my opinion. Minions and Monsters, great movie. Live action Moana, fabulous movie. I'm probably going to see them both probably another time. Again, before they leave theaters, probably in Orlando when I move, because I got one more day of work tomorrow. Then I pack up my car and then I drive for 2 days down to Orlando, right? It's like a 17, 18-hour drive, so it's going to take a while for me to get down there. Then once I get there, then I can relax, and then I can probably go see movies again and whatnot, right? But yeah, so that's my overall review. Last thing I'm going to basically say is, I'm going to probably have to mention this in every single video, do not listen to other people's reviews. Form your own opinions. Just because they shit on it doesn't mean that you're going to hate it. Every now and then, maybe they're right. Maybe they'll say, oh, this movie's bad, and you go see it, and you thought, okay, yeah, it was bad, right? That's likely to happen. But at the same time, like, it's not going to be the same thing every single time. Like, every single movie that you watch is going to be different, right? One movie, someone will say it sucks, and you see it like, yeah, it sucks, but the next movie, like, oh, this one sucks too, but you're like, actually, I like this one, right? Like, it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. I disagree with you saying it sucks. And the third movie, like, oh, it was another third bad movie in a row. It's like, actually, I really, really enjoyed this one. I love this one. If it comes out on DVD, I'm definitely going to buy it, right? Like, each situation is different. So don't let other people dictate how you should feel or how you want to feel when you go see a movie, right? Freaking Rotten Tomatoes rated at 35. Complete bullshit, right? Don't ever listen to Rotten Tomatoes for anything. Ever. Like, I fucking hate Rotten Tomatoes, because if I ever, like, base my opinions of things based on them, I would never be fucking happy, okay? Like, I'm letting other people dictate how I feel, and just saying that out loud just sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like, no, nobody dictates how I feel except me, right? They thought the Michael Jackson movie was shit. It's one of the greatest fucking movies I've ever seen in, like, the last couple of years, okay? Audience score was 97 plus. They rated it 35 or less or something like that, in the 30s, right? They don't fucking know what they're talking about, right? They rated the live action Moana 38 or so, again in the 30s, right? I thought it was fucking fabulous. I personally would have rated it 100%, but that's just me, right? Catherine did a fabulous job. Rock did a fabulous job. Oli, who was the original voice of Moana, wasn't in it, but she has that song along the way in the credits. That song is also fabulous. It was an added song that didn't exist in the original movie, but it's still a great song. If you haven't heard it, go on YouTube. Check out that song, Along the Way, from the Moana live-action soundtrack. It's a fabulous song. I'm going to probably download it once I get a new computer, because my old computer is a piece of shit. Yeah, it's an old-school 2009 MacBook, and I got in my freshman year of college, and since then, it's gone through a lot. Mostly, the biggest thing is that I accidentally spilled iced tea on it, and luckily I was quick enough with my reflexes to turn it upside down and drain it out, and so it still works, but the keys get sticky every now and then, right? But it still works, right? It's a little slow, but it works, but it's also very, very outdated, right? It's like been over, 15 years or so, I think? More than 10 years, right? So it's a really old fucking computer, and I can't download any more songs onto my iTunes at that point, right? So I'm going to have to eventually get rid of that, get a new computer, and have to eventually download songs and upload it to my phone when I have a chance. But, off track. Circling back. Minions, like I said, great movie. Moana, great movie. Form your own opinions. Fuck Rotten Tomatoes. And that's my review. I don't know what the next movie that's coming out is. I think it's Spider-Man Brand New Day, because that's coming out in like a week or so. No. Yes. No, like a week and a half. The end of the month, July 31st, right? So that's probably going to be where my next YouTube reaction out of the theater review is going to be. So if you want to find out about my opinions on that as well, you know, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a video. Thank you for watching. This is the Asian Reacts. This is the Tar Pits. And, yeah. Peace.